how did you balance honoring the original while also bringing something fresh and new to this live action version?
Do you want to answer? Sure. I think that we all are huge fans of the original, so it was always of the top importance to honor the legacy of the original film and what a classic it is. And then at the same time, I think we also have a real respect for the fact that animation is its own medium and live action is a different one, and they do different things better or worse than the others. And so you kind of have to be very thoughtful about the ways that you're translating it, and take every piece of the original that you want to keep, and you got to figure out, why does that work in animation? Is it gonna work in live action? And if not, then you have to figure out something else that will, really apply to live action strengths. And so that conversation really took us in a lot of different directions. And sometimes that meant sticking with the animated film more literally or more one-to-one, and then other times deviating from it in ways that ultimately I think are I'm really proud of personally, and tell a deeper, very emotionally rich story. And I think Jonathan and I have joked that success means that people will walk out of the theater going, that felt a little new, but I don't know which parts came from the original and which parts were new. You want to find something that really rhymes with and honors the essence of the original while telling a new modern story.
Thank you for that. And then the next one is, tell us about the decision to cast Maya as Lilo.
I don't know that it was that much of a decision. I think
she
Maya
cast herself.
Yeah, Maya
so.
made that decision. The second she sent in her audition, I think we saw that she was very talented. But then we met her in person, and it was clear that she just kind of lit up the room with a real level of like self-possession and precociousness that felt very in line with who Lilo is and why she's such an iconic character. And also, she just seemed like very obviously a smart, talented performer. She was very willing to, she never acted in anything before, so she was really willing to like throw herself into this process and figure out what it meant to be a film actress. And I think it was also clear to us that as opposed to some of the other people we were seeing, Maya was the one who was clearly dragging her parents to the auditions and not the other way around.
I love that. The next question is, how exciting was to have Chris Sander back, and what does he bring to the role?
Chris Sanders is the creator and voice of Stitch and co-director of the original film with Dean DeBlois. And, as part of one of our very first conversations was, how do we get Chris Sanders back? Not just as a voice, although he is reprising his role as Stitch, but also just to kind of advise us and figure out, gut check things when we run it by him, but also figure out a little bit more about, what led to creating Stitch and how different things informed his creation and his design. And then, as a performer, he's incredible. He obviously is the voice of Stitch, but he also gives so much to that character. It's, it's full energy, pedal to the metal for hours at a time, and he's so generous. He's the kind of performer when you're like, could I get one more take of that? He'll just riff until you stop him for like 10 minutes.
And also, it's not as if there's a million scripted lines for Stitch. A lot of it is noises, reactions, this or that, and he'll give you such a range, and he understands the character so well that there's actually things that we sort of discovered in ADR that then go back into and inform and change even the VFX, because he is Stitch. So it was such an honor to work with him on this one.
All right, our next one is, Stitch has been around for decades. Can you speak to enduring the phenomenon of a Stitch and what makes him so special?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you see Stitch backpacks and shirts and stuff, even sometimes from people who haven't seen the original or the show and are just fans of him as a character. And I think partly it speaks to how he's kind of relatably messy in a way that resonates with everyone, especially kids, but certainly I would include myself. Not everyone is a Disney princess, and not everyone is perfect, hitting their marks all the time. A lot of us are a little rough around the edges, and maybe need to be a little more self-accepting about the ways that we are messy.
And it's also just fun to be a troublemaker sometimes. So we all want a little bit of that in our life, and we want to know that that's okay and that we're still deserving of love in the end.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right, our last one is we have a couple of returning members, Amy and Tia. Can you talk about working with them and what they bring to their new roles?
Sure. Um, and they're not the only ones, I would say. I mean, well, we'll talk about them. Tia and Amy are incredible in their new roles. I really love Amy's character. She was not a character who's in the original movie, and I just love her portrayal of this neighbor character who's kind of like, tough love and has such a funny dynamic with her grandson David. And then Tia, of course, was the first person that we called when we realized there was this social worker character. My mom was the social worker growing up, so this was a role that was really near and dear to me. And she just knocked it out of the park. And some of those scenes are some of my favorite in the movie now because there is sort of this, I don't know, like ephemeral, maybe meta reading of the scene in which you could see that this is potentially grown-up Nani sort of advising young Nani on how to be and telling her to kind of get her life together.
It's Stitch's first time in Hollywood. Very beautiful. Lots of thoughts about Hollywood. Different foods. Very good. Yeah. Stitch, already? Lots of fans. Yeah. Stitch Blue, Stitch from space, Stitch really like food. A lot of stuff to say about Stitch. Lilo is Stitch's best friend. A big part of Stitch Ohana. Ohana means family. And that means nobody gets left behind. Jumba, make Stitch little crazy. I feel Jumba need to relax. Chill pill. Eat, make, movie, talk to Lilo, and explore. Stitch, in Stitch free time, he likes to do many things, especially talk to Lilo. You're welcome. Mahalo.
Amoro kai ke ara kamono kai amoro ya ike aina no e wa na o hiro e sahe ke ai ona amotu aina. Okay. Yay! Love
All right, not too much trouble today, buddy, all right? Don't get in too much trouble. I know you.
Aloha.
Alex?
Take my picture. Yeah. He made himself pretty, just for premiere.
And Maya, one more right here. Maya, hang on, love.
Maya, straight ahead, Maya, right here, Maya.
Right in front of you, Maya. Maya, right in front of you.
Right there, look over your shoulder now. And Chris? Chris, big smile. Chris, give us a little stitch. Right ahead.
Straight ahead, Zach.
Zach on the right.
Here on the
Zach, one more right here. Over your shoulder. Amy, right here, love. Hang on. And Amy, one more right here. And again, darling.
Guys, to your left.
Hey, Dean. Dean, straight ahead. Dean, right here, right here. Press all the way right. Look right there. Tom, right here. Right next to her, right here. And then right here to your right, to your right. Oh, on the right.
You're right.
Ian.
That's it,
Wait, where's Stitch? Yeah, where's Stitch? There he is. Oh my God! Watch out! And everybody in front, excuse me. Right there, right there. Perfect. Okay, everybody. Lovely. Give me Ohana. Yep. Beautiful. Maya Stitch in front. We love that. Perfect. Last one. Lovely. Thank you. Lilo and Stitch!
How did you feel about being half animated, half real in real life?
It's tricky. I think it's tricky because, well, the real life acting, that's cut and dry. You're used to doing that, right? With the animation process in a real space, to me, there's a lot of questions. I just was asking questions like, how far away?
You are a curious actor.
How far away is Stitch at this moment? Do I need to project more? Or is he 10 feet? Is he 20 feet away from me? Where in space is this? Like, I was asking these things because inflection and all that. So it's trickier to me to do animation acting, I think. Green screen acting, not that we even did that much. Mm-hmm. That's
the hardest scene was the one where you had to like do it on that green screen. We were on the scooters or something.
It's not good. I don't like those. Those are hard to do. Yeah.
But you're like, I just imagine this, and you're like, I feel so forced and.
Yeah, and it's also you're sitting there and there's 50 people watching you,
going like,
and they're just staring, and they're like, maybe they'll write something down. But there's a as a comedian, that instant feedback is what you're hopefully used to live. On a movie set, sometimes you don't get that. You get the crew checking their watch, or so you don't know if it's working.
To add to Zach's stuff, I'm really more thankful for the animators that were able to pick up on our nuances as the characters that we're trying to build and portray, and they like incorporate that into the film. So half our performances are actually thanks to the animators rather than our performances.
The genius of that hand-eye thing that artists do and can draw based on our movement. Like, for instance, whoever draws Homer Simpson when he does like a fall, like that's a genius to me.
Yeah.
That often when we talk about these movies is often not talked about, like the artists that do this, who did this.
And they're always at the end credits.
Yeah, small but they're, to Billy's point, they did more than we did.
I was working with 6-year-old Maya. I think a gift, and it reminds me how much joy can be found in working in make-believe land. Like, just, it's like the innocence of just being like, I'm showing up, playing with this thing, and she did it day in, day out. She worked harder than anyone on that movie. And to see her every day coming up with a big smile and a hug, and you'd be like, yeah, this is beautiful. I get to be a part of this too, and I can bring myself up, present myself every day with that kind of energy. So it's actually a gift I didn't realize I was receiving like every day.
Yeah, I think to work with Maya, there was a special energy that she was putting out that, she was born with, and it's a beautiful thing. And I have a son that's Maya's age, and that age 6 is like the greatest age. She's now 8. My son has left home. He was hitchhiking. But I think that age and Maya is a real, I don't mean she's a star. She's a great human, and she's got a big future no matter what she does.
What was it like filming in Hawaii and with a crew that was predominantly Hawaiian? Well,
I don't know if Disney wants me to say this. We shot most of it at Epcot Center. The Hawaiian wing.
Working with the locals in Hawaii on Lilo and Stitch was actually, I think it's nice to have a community come around you and support a story, and like if you could be authentic to their environment and their culture. It was actually. It was like giving back every day in a weird way. It was a reciprocal kind of relationship.
I don't think there's another state in the union that has such a glowing health as that culture dealing with family than Hawaii. The importance of that, we've kind of lost it, but we all come from cultures mostly where family was incredibly important. Here in America, it's individualism and John Wayne and whatever. But family, and that Hawaiian culture, I said it before, the other 49 states could learn from that.
And speaking of family, the last question is, what is it like being part of the Disney family, and have you always been Disney fans?
What's it like to be a part of the Disney family? I've done several Disney movies, and you know, when they work, they're really, really fun and special. You know, one of the benefits is that we get to go in the front of the line at Space Mountain, but only Space Mountain.
Oh, that's the only one.
And it's Space Mountain Paris. And who wants to go to France?
To be a part of the Disney family, you know, again, growing up, Disney's, you know, has a legacy of just year after year after year, and to be a part of it, sounds so stupid. You know, you wish upon a star, and it's like it kind of came true. I don't know.
It's bringing it all together.
I know, it really is this thing that was untangible, and now to be a part of the canon is kind of like, I don't know. It's a gift. I use this word all the time. It's a gift every time I get to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think when you reach a certain age, at least for me, I'm just happy to be hired. I don't, like, I'm 55. I'm still kind of working in this, but like it's a blessing to do what we do. Is it fun every time? No, but it's a job. But to tell a story, I remember watching the people that would come to the library and read to me as a kid, and the kids leaning in and listening and being raptured by, like, that's for us storytellers.
We hope to.
That's all we want. That's all you need. That's it.
Yeah, the
and
greatest
that feeling is now with this movie, right?
Yeah, the greatest gift is really getting the feedback. Be like, I saw that with my kid, or a kid going, I saw that with my parent, and
I
we had
snuck
a great
into
time.
that theater. I didn't have to pay.
You obviously have a long story and history with the character of Stitch, as well as the story. What does it mean to you that Stitch has resonated so much with audiences and is so popular still today?
Boy, where do I begin? I mean, it really is a dream come true. I grew up in Colorado. I loved animation. I loved Disney animation. And Hollywood and all that just seemed impossibly far away. So the idea that I was able to work for Disney on things like Lion King and Beauty and the Beast is such an amazing thing. But then that I created a character that became Stitch, I created Stitch that became what it is today, I should say. It's hard to quantify, but it's been incredible. And I take a walk. I go anywhere, a grocery store. I go to the airport. I'm on vacation. I see Stitch everywhere, and you know, and this is a lesson. You never know who you're standing next to. I can't tell you the thousands of people a year I stand next to that are wearing Stitch or carrying Stitch luggage or something, and I'm like, oh my God. And once in a while, probably once a year, I will identify myself if I see somebody and I think, oh, I bet they'd be stoked to say hi. So.
That's so beautiful. How would you describe Stitch? How is Stitch to you? Mm-hmm.
Stitch is very much like we all are. He has impulse problems. He makes mistakes. And I didn't realize when I was first concocting the character that he was landing in this really amazing place in the Disney universe. That I think his closest neighbor would be Donald Duck. Donald creates as much trouble, I think, as he does good things. I think Donald, he is his own worst enemy sometimes, which is one of the reasons I love Donald Duck, and I think people like him in general. He gets mad, he makes mistakes, and he, again, starts trouble. So I think that would be Stitch's nearest neighbor. So he's got this wonderful combination of a deep down good heart, but was designed to destroy. And through Lilo's love, he is redeemed. And he's I think the one and only Disney villain that was ever redeemed and became a hero.
Can you talk about the process of joining the cast of live action film and what you were most excited to tackle and revisit?
I was just thrilled to be invited. Dean Flesher, I believe, wrote me an email and just reached out and said, would you be interested in reprising the role? I immediately wrote back and said yes, and then he said, can I call you? And I sent him my phone number, and he called me up, and we ended up speaking. We were intending to speak for like 5 minutes, ended up speaking for hours until my phone like basically went dead. And it was just so fun to talk about the show and what the movie's all about and that kind of stuff. So I was just really, really charmed and grateful that I was invited back.
It's beautiful. And then the last one is, what can you tell us about the relationship between Stitch and Lilo and why that is so important to the story?
Right. Because Lilo and Stitch are both cute, they're both outcasts. I think people sometimes make the mistake of seeing them as kindred spirits, and that couldn't be more incorrect. Think of them as salt and pepper shakers. They look really cute together, but inside they're completely different. Lilo is focused inwards on family, on Stitch, and Stitch is focused outwards at the beginning of the story. He's literally designed to destroy. So she's trying to put things together while he's trying to pull things apart. And that's the key to the characters. Jumba and Pleakley are there not just for comedy relief, but they are there to hold those two characters together. If Jumba wasn't like literally threatening to shoot Stitch and take him away, he would run away from Lilo immediately at the beginning of the movie. But they're held together long enough for these two characters to have an effect on each other. And it is Lilo's absolute devotion to and belief in Ohana. She really carries the spirit of it within her. And Ohana is the magical element that changes Stitch. So he's the ultimate orphan and doesn't know it at the beginning of the movie. He has no idea that he's a one-off. There are no others of him. So he has no family to run to. And the moment where he sees this group of characters as a potential family is when he shifts. That's the last magical bit. In the original film, there's a particular moment where he's sitting on the beach and he's watching Nani and Lilo and David, and they're building a sandcastle, and he's been watching them for a while. And it's a very important moment because at that point he comes up, the sun is getting ready to set, it's late in the day, and he comes up with a surfboard and nudges Lilo, and he's wordlessly asking if he can go surfing. And that is such a critical moment because water is so dangerous for him. He's asking to risk his life in order to hook up with this family and be a part of that for just a few moments. And that part always gets to me because there are several things in there that are very personal to me. The fact that he waited that long in the day, it's just something that has happened to me many times in my life, that I've drugged my feet because I'm shy and I'm afraid to say something and I wait too long. And so I wanted that sequence to be, he waited a little too long, almost waited too long, came out there and asked if he could go out, and they invite him out. And so, and that moment for him, until Jumba ruins it by trying to grab him, is one of the best moments of his life up to that point. He really, for just a moment, felt like he belonged to something. So it's that family that begins, like the images of family and everything that exudes family vibes, that is what's beginning to magnetically pull him and interest him in it. And he doesn't know anything about it because he's, I don't think he's been on the earth that long. Well, he hasn't been on earth that long, but he hasn't existed that long. So all that magic, that messy magic that is a family, is what Stitch begins to fall in love with and want for himself to be a part of.